Okay, so welcome back to the channel and welcome back to an update on the Subaru. So, doing a few more bits, putting the back end of the car together, as you guys have seen, and one thing leads to another. The back was going back together, now we're doing the front, but we found more problems with the front of the car. So, got the kids with me today, they're trying to hide. So, we've ended up taking the inlet manifold off of the engine and taken a lot more out of the engine bay, and the reason for that is because we had a split turbo inlet pipe that I mentioned before. So we've taken it off, there's the split in there just below the Jubilee clip, and I didn't realise initially, but to get that turbo inlet out we bought a new one, and then when I'm looking at fitting it while I'm doing the other bits, you have to take the whole inlet manifold off. So it's turned into an epic. We've got the inlet manifold off there, we've got that stripped down, air conditioning pumps off, power steering, obviously the alternator. While we're there, the turbo's off, everything's out, and then all the bits and pieces that came off that are going to be zinc plated or yellow passivate, whilst it's there I'm going to get them redone. You can't see the majority of it, it's just a case of whilst it's off. Now, again, one thing leads to another. Taking the inlet off, excuse me, we found a multitude of sins. A while back I asked on the Subaru Facebook group, Subaru Owners UK, I think it is there anything, because I'm new to Subarus, I'm a Ford guy, cosy guy, really, with the Fiesta and what have you. Is there anything common that needs to be changed? And people said the rubber hose is 20 years old, most will need replacing or they go brittle, and you definitely weren't wrong. There's hoses in here that should be rubber. For example, this here is meant to be a rubber hose. If I find the other end of it, so one end is nice and rubbery, this end is solid plastic, see, just breaks into pieces. This, oh, where's it gone? This piece of hose here is meant to be rubber, absolutely solid, and it broke. So again, I've started taking out everything and redoing it. And also underneath the inlet manifold you have these water hoses, solid pipes that run across the block. That one goes from there, that goes to the header tank, yada yada yada. And we've ended up speaking to the guys at DL Motorsport mainly. There's new crossover pipes. We've got that one, we've got the other one, and we've got pretty much every PCV and hose and fuel pipe that you can get. And I think there was only one I can't get, and for that instance I bought a roll of high quality fuel line. So this was from, who was this one? I cannot remember. This is one everyone recommended, but I can't remember who it's by. But yeah, so we've got some high quality fuel line where we can replace, sorry, the one that we couldn't get. Now, under the block, again, it's a case of while you're there, you might as well do it. So with the inlet manifold off, we can get to everything under here that's all dirty and crusty. Getting the water crossover pipe off was very difficult. The 4 bolts that were in it were pretty much seized, and it took quite a long time using like penetrating oil and going backwards and forwards with the bolts to make sure they didn't crack. So we've cleaned the O-rings out. You have 2 O-rings that seal the pipe to the top of the engine, which are, there's some remnants of it, and just like the hoses, obviously they're brittle. Now, it wasn't leaking, so a lot of people say if it ain't broken, don't fix it. But I don't want to go under there. I don't want to go under there twice to do that job and replace all the bits of hoses. So while we're there, we can replace the O-rings. I've also, in every threaded hole you could get to, after cleaning the mating surfaces from the cylinder head to the TGV, I cleaned them surfaces of all the old gasket. Then I've gone through and I've run a tap. They're either M8 by 1.25, you've got some M6 by 1, and I think you have got the odd M10 by 1.25. So I've run a tap through all the threads. Obviously, being machine shop, I've got all that stuff here, so it's no dramas. So we've re-tapped all the holes, blown them out, cleaned them out, whilst under here, on top of the things that I'm going to do, I'm going to change. This was a cheapo Euro Car Parts generic oil pressure sensor. So I'm going to put the OEM one in, which I did buy a long time ago. I just couldn't get it on the day I needed it. If you look back to one of my cam belt videos, I had no oil pressure light on the dash because the original sensor was broken. So I've got a Subaru one to go in, which was like 17 quid. Whilst under here, I'm going to replace a knock sensor. Again, as far as I know, there was no issue with it, but it's under here, so I want to get it done. These are sort of, the WRX only has one breather off of each rocker cover, so we're going to do the PCV hoses here, PCV hose here. You've got the valve that goes in the back of the inlet manifold. That will be changed. All these fuel lines, I managed to get two of them, the top and the bottom, the top and the middle, I think that is. I managed to get them the bottom one, which is the evap return, had a big split in it. Couldn't get that one, so I've got to get some separate line for that. But I'm going to replace all them. And again, it's a case of whilst we're here, all of the hoses we need, all of the bits and pieces. Now, I made the decision also to do some upgrades. You can see the most obvious one, WRX intercooler and the bigger STI intercooler. Probably doesn't look so different there, but the STI one is bigger that way, and it's also, so it's longer and it's taller, but I think the depth is the same. So intercooler's okay and easy to do at any point during the build, but whilst doing the inlet manifold, I bought an injector O-ring seal kit. Now the injectors are a bit more of a pain to get to. The inlet doesn't have to come off, but you've got to take a lot of stuff off to get to them. So I thought whilst I'm there, I went on and I found a set of second-hand Hawkeye dark blue 565cc injectors, which are what a lot of people use as a WRX upgrade, because I want to up the power on it. Not crazy. The average seems to be 320 to 340, seems to be sort of the sweet spot. Yes, the 5-speed's still a weak link, but if the Fiesta sells in the future, I'll take a chunk of money and I'll put a 6-speed in it, so I haven't got to worry about gearbox issues. So I know the 5-speed, you know, you can break it if you start launching and things like that. I'm not bothered. I'll worry about that later down the line. Gearbox swap, when the money's available, that's an easy, you know, can be done later. So we've got Hawkeye dark blue injectors. We've got the STI top mount intercooler. We've got the up pipe that we're going to change. I may even fettle and grind out, open the ports on the OEM cast inlet manifold, exhaust manifold. So you can see here where the gasket is and the actual hole. So you can take quite a lot out of that to open them ports up and then match the other one to the up pipe to make the standard OEM exhaust a lot more free flowing on the header side of things. So I may well do that if I get time. The other thing, while the inlet manifold was off, people say TGV, tumble generator valve delete, is definitely worth doing. Not necessarily because I'm after the power gains, because they're probably minimal, more so because the TGV motors and sensors can cause you problems because they're getting old now. Now you could buy motors and sensors and replace them and yada yada, but I thought let's delete them. So we've taken them off, obviously with the inlet manifold. I've bagged them up because I'm not going to strip the butterflies. I'm going to put the brand new deletes on there that never had the sensors, which I think were for the STI version. They didn't come with that. So they're off. I've got a brand new fuel reg. This is the old one. So got a new fuel reg to go on just because that's 20 years old. They're the old injectors. And then in the other bags, we've got O-rings, seals. We finally got the front bracket for our new charcoal canister. So we've got a whole new charcoal canister assembly, excuse me, to go on. Obviously that's going to be plated. Power steering rack's out because the engine cradle, the main engine cradle, as you can see there, is currently out of the car, and that is just balancing on a jack. Obviously we're attached to the gearbox, but the engine itself is just resting on the jack there until the cradle comes back from blasting and powder coating, hopefully tomorrow, because everything else is nice and shiny and the front cradle was pretty grim. So why not? Let's just get it done. You know, not a big difference. I didn't want to spend 400 or 500 quid on the cradle and the brace. So local to me, a company that does shot blast and powder coat, it was around 100, I think he said 100 or 120 quid to get it blasted. So we dropped that off Friday. It's currently Sunday, and we'll pick it up midweek, and that'll be done. So then we can put our uprated injectors in. We can put the new cradle back on, or the repainted cradle back on. We can replace all the hoses, the water pipes, the seals, the O-rings, all the stuff that's going to be really awkward to get to. The SDI intercooler can be cleaned up and tarted up at a later date, because obviously that will go in last. And the other thing is, we took the OEM TD04 turbo off, which is no good if you're going to upgrade the power. So we took that off. And I've been speaking to 2 or 3 people about options for turbo upgrades. And again, we're looking for, by doing a bit of research, it seems to be that the sweet spot for these is between 320 and 330. So anywhere around that sort of, I'd rather be near a 330 just because, anywhere around 330 horsepower figure, that's where I'd like to be at. So there's a few options for the turbo. And of course, whilst I'm at where I'm at now, it's going to be much easier to change it, because we'll do the turbo, we'll do the up pipe. Everything is right here to get to. I bought the turbo drain hose, new clips, new banjo fittings, new crush washers, you know, all a couple of quid. None of them are crazy expensive, but it's a case of doing it while you're in there. So yeah, that's where we're at. So we took one big step forward, putting all the bits on under the rear of the car, which is 99% complete. Got to put that charcoal canister, evap system, whatever you call it, onto the car. And then the back end, bar the exhaust, is pretty much done. Then obviously when I moved forward and I found the inlet hose, which turned into the manifold coming off, which turns into the PCV and breather pipes. But looking at what was under there, the brittle tubing, the bad fuel line, the split in the evap fuel return hose piece, the O-rings on the water crossover, the corrosion and the rusting on some of the water pipes, it's probably a good idea that we done that. If not, I'd have probably had issues down the line. But also, we stripped the front of the car, which I'd not done fully before. I'd only had the radiator out. So we took the aircon, is it a condenser unit? So we took the aircon condenser unit out. This is pretty grotty and corroded. One of the brackets on the back completely snapped off there. That one's okay. Managed to find a brand new but second-hand one from, I think it was a guy called Ewan, just on one of the Facebook groups, who bought it for a classic Subaru. Turns out it doesn't fit. He bought the wrong one. So he ordered a new one rather than return it. Maybe he'd had it too long, I don't know. And I bought that off him. So that should arrive next week. So we got a brand new condenser and an O-ring seal kit for the pipes. The aircon, I got someone to come to degas it and it was hardly worth it. I thought the aircon did work, but I can't remember. But when he went to degas it, literally next to nothing come out. And that's probably because of that grotty old condenser unit over there. So all them things will be done and addressed, which is good. We'll clean up the brackets and we'll blast, we'll powder coat, we'll zinc plate, yellow passivate, whatever you call it, loads of bolts and bits and pieces, just because we're finicky and we want to tidy it all up. But the other thing I'm now going to get done is a bit of paint work in the engine bay. So I've been looking and searching and trying to find out, and a few people are going to get back to me. Obviously the car is World Rally Blue, paint code is 02C. I'd heard that the engine bay colour was 02C without clear coat. Evidently that's not true, because the colour difference is far too great. This is much, much darker. So it's a myth that it's 02C without clear coat. That isn't the case. It's a different colour altogether. Now you'll notice you get the paint in the bay, it fades out to kind of overspray, then you've got the E-coat, but you get to some sections and you're a little bit like the 02C, you know, like one got painted first and then obviously going through the factory production line, sections get painted first, maybe the engine bay, and then the 02C colour you can see it does kind of spread out, so it's very mixed in. Now, I'm not sort of going in for a concours condition show and shine, you know, OEM, it has to be factory spec, but I want it to look nice. And now I'm at where I'm at, I can either leave the block in and we can paint all round the wings and I can take all this gubbins out, which is a pain, but it's doable. Or do we try and do dark paint and the like, try and make it look factory? I'm not sure. But the question is, we need to know the paint code. So if any of you guys know the OEM paint code, then that would be good. If you don't know the paint code, do you reckon I should just try and get it painted in the O2C blue, or do we do it in the darker blue? Not too sure. But the reason being, the main thing is the front here. You can see the slam panel, the slam panel, the lower radiator support panel had corrosion on it, and I put built hamber on it a few months back when I had the radiator out, but I couldn't get behind there. Now I've removed all the fuse box and wiring harness. It all comes unplugged out of the box, a little bit finicky, but it's not too bad to do. And I've disconnected the harness all the way through and dropped it out, bagged it up on this side. So here you can see we have some corrosion, but it's only surface rust. So nothing we can't sort, but it's a case of now or never. While I'm here, we want to get some paint in there and make it look a bit pretty and make sure it lasts a while. So yeah, that's where we're at. We've got more to do. We were one step forward, two steps back, but things that need to be done, and it's just going to make sure that the car is he's waving. Make sure the car is good in the future, and we haven't got to come back to this after doing all the work in 6 months' time or 12 months' time because there's corrosion on the front. So we may as well do it now, in for a penny, in for a pound, as they say. So yeah, that's the update on the car. Oh, no, thank you for the camera, yeah? No worries. Okay, 1 second, we'll go. So yeah, anyway, cheers for watching. If you like the content on the Subaru, please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again on the next video. Cheers for watching.